If you've spoken to me about my research, you probably noticed that this is not what I write now. That's because I'm about to start my master's project in April. So if you want to talk to me about the joys and sorrows of trying to acquire MRI data from mice, I'm happy to do that. But because I'm at the stage of trying to establish method right now, there is no data to present, so I'm presenting a small project that I did in my previous studies. I'm a psychologist by training, hence very vague, wishy-washy, but very fun stuff to look at. No mathematical models whatsoever, but quite fun, and a lot of laughter was encountered, so it's pretty cool. So the rationale behind this is people have always tried to figure out why other people commit crimes, and one of the main things is that we like to say that something is wrong with the people who do it, and mainly it's because you don't really want to think that somebody who is completely normal, who lives next to you like your father or your best friend, can actually do something horrible like rape a child or murder them. So you want to say that it's probably something wrong with them. It can't be an average normal person. So people try to drive that it must be the personality that kind of leads people to do that. We also really like to talk about, is this personality coming from the body or is it from how the people are brought up? And that's a really big debate, I guess. We also like to think that people who commit crimes have a different worldview. So it's not just that they have a personality that comes from within for themselves, but also they see the world differently and they perceive the world in a way that's not exactly the way we do. And finally, we want to link all of this kind of to biology, because we can't influence the way parents bring up their children, but if there is some sort of biology underlying all of this mess of people committing crimes, we can potentially target it if we can detect it in the childhood or something like that. So the rationale is that we hope that people who commit crimes are not your like regular healthy people. We hope it's the biology, and we hope we can target it somehow. So how did I approach this? One of the really big models of personality and criminality is Eysenck's model. There are a lot of them, and they discuss the question from different perspectives, but this is one of the main ones. And it kind of described all of this fuss from the fact that you go from the DNA and you go through different stages of hierarchical complexity, and you end up with your distal consequences like criminality and other things like creativity. So here we focused on the limbic system arousal, so your autonomous system, kind of the responses of your body that you can't control, the underlying biology. We looked at the pen factors, so the actual personality factors in the model, and how they influence your perception of the world, with the idea that that eventually probably leads to the criminal or the non-criminal personality of the people. So Eysenck's personality model has three main components to it: neuroticism, extroversion, and psychoticism. We didn't really look at neuroticism and extroversion because they're quite common and everybody looks at them and there is a lot of research. What's really understudied is psychoticism, which is quite interesting considering that psychoticism is the trait that is mostly prominent in actually convicted criminals. So quite a fun thing, but we looked at that, and we looked at it from a perspective of moral and conventional violations. So this is a really fun thing that all of us have in the everyday world, and moral violations are things that violate the way we behave in the world from the moral perspective, so they are completely independent from how we were brought up. So it's things like hitting, hurting, killing, stuff like that. So no matter what environment or what country you were brought up, we all generally tend to think that this is not okay, and we think that this is exactly what goes wrong in the criminal personalities, because this is nothing that gets put in your head. You're brought up with the fact that getting hurt is not nice, so I wouldn't want to hurt somebody else. And you have conventional violations. So things like, you shouldn't go in the bathroom of the opposite gender, or you shouldn't call people names. So it's stuff that your parents tell you to do, and we think that criminal people can actually suppress those urges to break those rules because they're brought up. So that's something behavioral, whilst moral violations are something intrinsic. So we did a really simple study. It was a judgment task. So people were presented with the beginning of a story, and then after a bit of time, they were given the ending of a story, which was either a moral violation or a conventional violation, and all they had to do was to say, is this okay or not okay? Sounds like a really, really simple task, and it was. And we also measured GSR, which is the galvanic skin response, one of the most basic autonomous system markers. So it measures basically your arousal, and the idea is that if you're aroused, you sweat a little bit. It's nothing you can actually detect with your body, but with your mind rather, but you sweat a little bit and the conductivity of your skin goes up. And as expected, of course, we found that regardless of the type of the violation and regardless of the psychoticism level, everybody says that everything is okay, they say it equally fast, and everybody is good. But when you look at things like galvanic skin responses, there is differences. And we plotted these really, really cool graphs which show galvanic skin responses depending on the violation type, and you compare them for people with high psychoticism, so those potentially criminal, and low psychoticism, and we kind of reached a conclusion that people who are high in psychoticism but are not convicted criminals have the same personality type and the same biology as people who are convicted criminals. If you want to find out more on why that is, you can ask me at the poster, or if you want to talk about mice and MRI, you can also ask me at the poster. Thanks very much.